Most people navigate life by following societal scripts, rules, traditions, and expectations that have been ingrained in them since childhood. From an early age, they are conditioned to conform, taught what success should look like, how relationships should function, and which behaviors are acceptable. They blend into the social fabric without hesitation, rarely questioning the norms that govern their lives. But Sigma males are different. They don't just see the world as it is. They see the hidden structures beneath it. They notice the unspoken dynamics that dictate social interactions, the subtle pressures that influence people's choices, and the silent expectations that shape behavior. While most accept these norms without a second thought, Sigma males question everything. They act in ways that others wouldn't dare, not because they seek to be rebellious, but because they refuse to be bound by traditions that don't serve them. This mindset often confuses, frustrates, or even intimidates those around them. Psychologists describe Sigma males as highly independent thinkers who exist outside traditional social hierarchies. Unlike alpha males who thrive on dominance and control, or beta males who seek approval and validation, Sigma males choose a different path altogether. They don't chase leadership roles or social recognition, nor do they crave the comfort of belonging. Instead, they carve their own way, unburdened by the need to fit into predefined roles. This makes them unpredictable, misunderstood, and at times difficult for others to grasp. But here's the catch. This isn't about superiority. Sigma males don't see themselves as above others, nor do they believe their way is the only way. They simply refuse to play by the unspoken rules that most people follow without question. Their decisions are guided by logic, self-awareness, and personal integrity rather than societal expectations. In this exploration, we will delve into the 8 key traits that define Sigma males and explain why they never quite fit in, and more importantly, why they never needed to. 1. They reject rules that exist for no reason. The 5 monkeys experiment. Have you ever heard of the 5 monkeys experiment? Scientists place 5 monkeys in a room with a ladder leading up to a bunch of bananas. Every time a monkey tried to climb the ladder, the entire group was sprayed with cold water. It didn't take long for them to learn the pattern. After repeated punishment, they stopped trying altogether. Then came the real test. The scientists removed the water punishment and introduced a new monkey into the group. Naturally, the newcomer attempted to climb the ladder, but before he could, the other monkeys stopped him. Despite the fact that the original punishment was no longer in play, the behavior continued. Over time, as more new monkeys were introduced and old ones were replaced, the behavior persisted. No one knew why they were stopping each other. They just followed the rule because that's the way things had always been. The psychology behind blind obedience. This is exactly how much a society operates. People follow rules, tradition, and systems without ever questioning their origins or purpose. The status quo becomes an unspoken law, and breaking it, even when it makes sense, invites backlash. But Sigma males don't fall for that trap. In psychology, this is known as heuristic obedience. When people follow rules blindly, often out of habit, fear, or the belief that this is just the way things are. Many people conform because they seek social approval or because challenging the norm feels uncomfortable. Sigma males, however, operate differently. They are wired with high independent thinking and a low need for external validation. They don't just accept things at face value. If a rule doesn't serve a logical purpose, they challenge it. Sigma males in action. Have you ever been in a workplace where outdated procedures slowed everything down? Or in a group where people acted fake just to keep the peace? Sigma males see through these pointless systems instantly. While others obey to avoid conflict, these men refuse to waste time on nonsense. They are not rebels for the sake of rebellion, but if a rule is inefficient, outdated, or simply illogical, they won't hesitate to ignore it, break it, or redefine it. This makes them frustrating to those who expect blind obedience, bosses who demand respect without earning it, institutions that prioritize tradition over progress, and people who rely on unspoken social rules to maintain control. But to the few who think like them, Sigma males are a breath of fresh air. Because in a world where most people follow without question, Sigma males do something rare. They think for themselves. 2. They see through fakeness in seconds. The Sigma male's intuition. Have you ever had a gut feeling that something about a person just didn't add up? Maybe their smile felt forced, their enthusiasm seemed exaggerated, or their words were too polished, almost as if they were reading from a script. Most people ignore that instinct, brushing it off as overthinking or unnecessary skepticism. But Sigma males can't ignore it, even if they tried. For them, spotting deception isn't just a skill, it's second nature. Psychologists say that people with high cognitive empathy can detect deception faster than others, and Sigma males excel in this area. They process social cues at a much deeper level than most, picking up on the tiniest inconsistencies that betray a person's true intentions. From subtle shifts in body language to micro-expressions that last mere milliseconds, they analyze it all without even thinking about it. The Sigma male's response to fakeness. This heightened awareness is why they immediately sense when someone is being fake, whether an overly charming handshake, a compliment that doesn't match the speaker's energy, or an exaggerated display of confidence meant to mask insecurity. Sigma males see the cracks before the performance even starts to slip. Ever notice how some people change their tone depending on who they're talking to? How they flatter those they want something from but treat others as invisible? Most people don't catch these shifts, but Sigma males do. They recognize when someone is putting on a persona to impress, manipulate, or gain an advantage. And unlike most, they refuse to play along. They won't always call out directly. Sigma males aren't the type to cause unnecessary conflict, but they will quietly distance themselves. They don't waste time engaging with people who aren't being authentic, and this makes them nearly impossible to manipulate. After all, you can't fool someone who doesn't buy into false appearances in the first place. The impact of this trait. This ability frustrates those who rely on deception to navigate social circles, as their usual tricks simply don't work on Sigma males. But while fake people find them intimidating or unapproachable, this trait serves as a powerful shield. It protects them from toxic friendships, empty flattery, and hidden motives that most people fall for. In a world where social masks are the norm, Sigma males are the rare few who see right through the act, and they act accordingly. 3. They walk away when respect isn't mutual. The Sigma male's approach to respect. Respect isn't something Sigma males beg for, demand, or chase. It's something they offer freely, but only as long as it's reciprocated. The moment it becomes one-sided. They don't argue, they don't plead, and they certainly don't stick around trying to prove their worth. They just leave. For most people, walking away from a situation where they feel undervalued is easier said than done. They stay in jobs where their hard work goes unnoticed, friendships that feel draining, or relationships where they're constantly proving themselves. Why? Because leaving is uncomfortable. Society conditions people to endure, to compromise, to be the bigger person. And while that mindset has its place, Sigma males understand when the cost is too high. The psychology of low social dependency. Psychologists refer to this as low social dependency, a defining trait of highly independent personalities. Unlike those who fear loneliness or feel pressure to maintain appearances, Sigma males don't tie their self-worth to how others treat them. If they sense they're being disrespected, manipulated, or taken for granted, they won't sit around hoping for change. They won't issue warnings, demand apologies, or engage in endless discussions about what went wrong. They simply detach, and they do it with an icy calmness. No heated arguments, no dramatic exits, no need for closure, just silence and distance. This confuses people. Most expect pushback, an emotional reaction, or at least an attempt to fix things. But Sigma males give them none of that. To outsiders, their sudden withdrawal might seem like arrogance, coldness, or an unwillingness to forgive. But in reality, it's about self-respect. The Sigma male's quiet declaration of self-worth. A Sigma male knows that once respect is broken, the dynamic of any relationship, whether it's a friendship, a business partnership, or even a family bond, will never be the same again. Trust may be rebuilt over time, but the initial foundation is already cracked. Instead of wasting energy trying to mend something that no longer serves them, they do what most struggle to do. They let go. For Sigma males, walking away is an act of revenge or bitterness. It's a quiet declaration of self-worth. While others stay entangled in toxic situations, hoping things will improve, the Sigma male moves forward without hesitation and without looking back. For they don't conform just to fit in. The pressure to conform, Most people unconsciously adjust their behavior to align with social expectations, even when those expectations contradict their personal beliefs, values, or logic. They modify how they speak, suppress unpopular opinions, and follow unspoken rules simply to avoid standing out or making others uncomfortable. Society rewards conformity with acceptance and validation, so most people comply without a second thought. But Sigma males don't see the point in playing that game. They don't conform just for the sake of blending in or earning approval from the majority. If a social rule, expectation, or tradition doesn't make sense to them, they refuse to follow it blindly, whether it's how they dress, how they speak, or how they behave in social settings. Sigma males operate from authenticity, not compliance. The psychology behind low social dependency. This independent mindset is linked to what psychologists call low social dependency. Most people derive their sense of self-worth from how others perceive them, but Sigma males function on internal validation rather than external approval. They don't need a group to tell them who they are or how they should behave. They define themselves. Take fashion trends, for example. Most people follow trends not because they personally like the styles, but because wearing the right clothes signals social belonging. Sigma males, however, were what they actually like, regardless of trends or outside opinions. Their choices aren't dictated by what's considered cool or acceptable. They prioritize comfort, function, and personal taste over fleeting societal standards. The consequences of nonconformity. Because Sigma males don't conform to traditional social norms, they are hard to categorize. Their unpredictability unsettles people who rely on social labels and group dynamics to understand others. Some admire their confidence and independence, while others misinterpret as arrogance, aloofness, or even rebellion. But for Sigma males, the goal was never to fit in. It has always been to stay true to themselves. While most people mold themselves to fit the expectations of others, Sigma males remain untouched by the pressure to conform. Their identity isn't shaped by approval, trends, or societal norms. It's shaped by their own logic, purpose, and personal truth. 5. They question authority, not just obey it. The Sigma male's approach to authority. From childhood, people are taught to respect authority without question. Teachers, bosses, politicians, and even social influencers often expect blind obedience. Society conditions people to believe that rules exist for a reason, and that challenging them is rebellious or wrong. But Sigma males don't accept authority at face value. They don't rebel for the sake of rebellion. But they also don't automatically trust someone just because they hold a title. They analyze whether the authority is earned or imposed, whether the rule is logical or outdated, and whether compliance is necessary or just expected. The psychology behind critical thinking. This trait is connected to high critical thinking skills. Studies show that people with strong independent reasoning are less likely to conform to groupthink or obey commands that lack logic. Sigma males thrive on rationality over tradition, which is why they often challenge leadership policies or cultural norms that don't hold up under scrutiny. For example, at work, they question inefficient systems instead of blindly following outdated procedures. In relationships, they don't submit to power dynamics based on gender roles or societal pressure. In society, they don't believe everything they're told just because it comes from an official source. The consequences of challenging authority. This mindset threatens those who rely on blind obedience to maintain control. Whether the manipulative boss, a corrupt leader, or someone who benefits from unspoken power structures, people often label Sigma males as difficult or rebellious. But the truth is simple. They aren't anti-authority. They're anti-stupidity. If a rule makes sense, they'll follow it. If it doesn't, they'll question it, challenge it, or ignore it completely. 6. They refuse to follow traditions that have lost their meaning. The role of tradition in society. Traditions shape society. They provide structure, identity, and a sense of belonging. But over time, many traditions outlive their original purpose, becoming mindless routines rather than meaningful customs. Despite this, most people continue following them without questioning why. Not because they believe in them, but because they feel obligated to conform. Sigma males, however, reject tradition for tradition's sake. They are not the type to blindly follow rules, customs, or rituals just because they've been around for generations. Instead, they examine the logic and value behind a tradition. If it no longer serves a meaningful purpose, Or worse, if it's holding them back, they have no hesitation in walking away from it. Sigma males and career paths. For example, in many cultures, people are pressured into following a traditional career path. Go to school, get a degree, find a stable job, and work until retirement. This path made sense in the past, but in today's fast-changing world, alternative routes like freelancing, entrepreneurship, and digital careers can offer even greater success. While most people stick to the outdated mindset of this is the only way, Sigma males question whether these traditions truly serve their goals. If the answer is no, they take the unconventional route without looking back. The Sigma male's approach to social customs. This mindset extends into social customs and relationships as well. For instance, many people feel forced to participate in family gatherings, religious practices, or ceremonial events they no longer believe in, just to avoid judgment. Sigma males, however, don't allow guilt or obligation to dictate their actions. If a tradition no longer resonates with their values, they opt out regardless of how others perceive them, even in the workplace. Sigma males resist pointless corporate traditions that focus more on appearances and results. While others waste time on unnecessary meetings, rigid dress codes, or outdated hierarchies, Sigma males prioritize efficiency over formalities. The impact of rejecting tradition. Their refusal to engage in meaningless rituals often makes them stand out, sometimes as rebels, other times as leaders. To many, this rejection of tradition can seem stubborn or even disrespectful. But for Sigma males, it's not about defying norms just for the sake of rebellion. It's about living life on their own terms. They respect traditions that still hold value, but they won't waste time on rules that exist only because no one has dared to question them. 7. They don't let social pressure dictate their choices. The human need for acceptance. Humans are naturally wired to seek acceptance and approval. It's a survival instinct deeply embedded in our psychology. This is why so many people conform to societal expectations, even when those expectations go against their personal desires or values. From choosing a career to entering relationships, social pressure is one of the most powerful forces shaping human behavior. But Sigma males are different. They operate with an uncommon level of self-reliance, making decisions based purely on their own logic, principles, and long-term goals, not on external validation. This is linked to low social conformity, a psychological trait that makes them resistant to groupthink. Unlike most people, they don't adjust their actions just to fit in with the majority. Sigma males and career choices. Consider how many people choose their careers based on status rather than passion. They take high-paying jobs they despise simply because society has conditioned them to believe that success means climbing the corporate ladder. Or think about the pressure to follow traditional life milestones. Getting married by a certain age, having children, or buying a house, even when someone isn't ready or doesn't even want those things. Sigma males reject this kind of autopilot living. If something doesn't align with their values, they have no problem going against the grain, even if it means disappointing others. The consequences of nonconformity. This refusal to conform often confuses or frustrates those around them. People who rely on external validation may view Sigma males as cold, rebellious, or even selfish. But in reality, Sigma males simply prioritize self-respect and authenticity over social approval. They understand that chasing approval is a never-ending game. No matter what you do, someone will always have an opinion. Instead of letting the world dictate how they should live, Sigma males choose the rarest, most difficult path, one where they define success and happiness on their own terms. They don't rebel for the sake of rebellion, nor do they seek attention for being different. They simply make choices that serve their goals, without worrying about whether those choices make sense to anyone else. 8. They prioritize logic over emotional expectations. The conflict between logic and emotion. In social settings, most people are expected to prioritize emotions over logic. They say what others want to hear rather than what is true, offer blind support even when it makes no sense, or avoid uncomfortable truths to keep the peace. Society often values emotional reassurance over rational problem solving, leading many to suppress their logic in favor of emotional expectations. But Sigma males don't play by those rules. They approach situations logically rather than emotionally, focusing on facts, efficiency, and solutions rather than social niceties. While they are not emotionless, they refuse to let emotional pressure dictate their decisions. They won't agree with something just to make others feel better. And they certainly won't ignore facts for the sake of social harmony. The psychology behind cognitive independence. This trait is linked to high cognitive independence, a mindset where decisions are made based on internal reasoning rather than external influence. Unlike those, do you resonate with the ideas I shared in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more content about Sigma males, explore the other videos on this channel. Thanks for watching.